It's Monday night, and you know what that means. The Jersey First Television Network proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And yes, folks, I am the generational talent in Garden State media and the hero you need right now more than ever. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday to you all. And again, we're still in the month of October. Happy Breast Cancer Awareness Month. As you can see, we're thinking pink all throughout the show and all throughout the month of October here on Jersey First TV, as we're raising awareness for the American Cancer Society, and of course, making strides against breast cancer, since October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. More on the importance of that a little bit later in the show, and I appreciate you all tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so right now on Jersey First TV. And folks, again, I can't say it enough, we'll be rocking pink throughout the month of October, proudly to represent for the American Cancer Society. And again, as I said before, making strides against breast cancer. Folks, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you like, share, and of course, comment on tonight's episode. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you follow us on Instagram and X. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. And of course, on YouTube, click the little bell button, and you'll be automatically subscribed to all the wonderful content that we bring you every single week here on Jersey First TV. And of course, whether you get your podcasts on Spotify or SoundCloud, download the Jersey First channel. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're going food shopping, walking your dog, I know it's getting a little chilly out there. It's October, right? We're kind of finally experiencing some fall weather. I'm sure you have your smartphone with you. Trust me, take Jersey First TV with you. Trust me, you'll never be disappointed with our great content. Of course, as I'm never afraid to say it, folks, I'm front and center here on the Jersey First Television Network, always educating and advocating for the residents here in the great Garden State of New Jersey. Folks, I can't say it enough. Brand new episodes of Real Talk air live every Monday night. Check your local listings, of course, on your social media platforms. We appreciate you. Again, it takes 5 seconds. Like, comment, and share tonight's episode and all the episodes every single week here on Jersey First TV. Folks, you want to stick around for final thoughts? I'm going to have a lot to say about, folks, you know, Uncle Dave never ceases to disappoint us with some of the buffoonery that he exposes himself to and, of course, subjects himself to every single week, but some specifically because, you know, today's October the 13th. And if, you know, for Hispanics and Latinos like myself, we're pretty much coming up to the end of Hispanic Heritage Month. And you would think that throughout the month of October, you know, Mr. Latino, Mr. Boricua, you know, David Cruz would be more out there trying to cover more prominent Hispanics during the month. But of course, can't help Dave, you know, he's always going to be self-serving. I'll tell you why, and I'll show you why in the latest example during Final Thoughts. Also, folks, I'll have a special comment about coming up this Wednesday night. The world-famous Waterside in North Bergen, New Jersey, is the 2025 edition of A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts to benefit the American Cancer Society. Again, since 2008, I've been proudly volunteering with the American Cancer Society, raising over $68,000 during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we'll do that this Wednesday, a little bit more during a special comment about the significance and importance of this event coming up this Wednesday night, starting at 7 p.m., at the world-famous Waterside along the waterfront in North Bergen, New Jersey. You want to stick around for that, folks? Definitely not to be missed. And, folks, it is election season, and I'll tell you something. I've been covering the exclusives that nobody else does, really, in Garden State media. And listen, we all know that coming up on November the 4th, there's a hotly contested gubernatorial race between Rebecca Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli. All 80 state assembly seats are up for grabs, and there are a lot of very important municipal elections throughout the state of New Jersey. You name it, folks, whether it's in Morristown, Parsippany, you name it. But here in Hudson County, we have some very important mayoral elections as well. Certainly in the city of Kearney, the township of Guttenberg, the township of Secaucus, the muscular city of Hoboken, of course, in Hudson County's largest city, Jersey City. But not just the mayoral election is important, folks, but all the council seats are up for grabs, obviously. All the at-large seats and all the wards. Hey, there's a lot to talk about, and I've been the one doing that during this election cycle. And why not talk to one of the more prominent candidates during election 2025 in Jersey City with less than 30 days to go, folks? Again, vote by mail has begun. Early voting begins just in a couple of weeks, and of course, you can vote in person also coming up on November the 4th. But a hotly contested Ward A race that I've been covering on this show exclusively. And you know what? Let's talk to one of the candidates on the ballot there. She's a lifelong resident, and you know what? She's not just about talking, but she's about doing. She's been in the trenches. She's rolled up her sleeves, and she's still doing that. Folks, it's Ward 8 Council candidate Pam Johnson joins us live right now on Real Talk. Pam, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Fernando. And thank you for having me on Real Talk. I love to keep it real. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate that. And folks, again, like, comment, and share tonight's episode with Ward 8 Council candidate Pam Johnson. Join us live right now on the Jersey First Television Network. So, Pam, great to see you. Obviously, less than 30 days to go. At the top of the ticket, it's gotten a little fickle. It's gotten a little nasty, a little contentious there between the mayoral candidates. But we're seeing even the council candidates, I think, are starting to take jabs at each other. And Ward 8 is very interesting. It's certainly the south side of Jersey City, a part of the city that many would argue has gone not unnoticed, but unsaved, as they say, when it comes to, listen, it's great to develop down there, right? I mean, there's no shortage of development going on down there, but residents are still lacking some basic resources and services. And I know your campaign's been very adamant about pushing that narrative through. So let's talk about that. Let's first talk about what, P words that matter during this election cycle, not pronouns like some people think they do, but the real P words like property taxes and public safety. Let's start with property taxes. Obviously, at the municipal level, should you get across the finish line coming up on November the 4th? And I think you will. I think, I'm a broadcast journalist. I'll go on record. I think it's you and Councilwoman Denise Ridley are going to be in the runoff in December. That's my prediction. Again, no disrespect to anybody, but I call balls and strikes fairly. But should you get across the finish line, Pam, taking office in January, what do you want to address in Ward 8 when it comes to property taxes?
I mean, I definitely try to make sure that I'm talking to as many residents as possible, and not just because I'm running, but this is something that I do in general. And property taxes are always a topic of conversation. I think when, the city introduced the 1% payroll tax and how that has not been enforced, I think that's been a big issue. I think when folks are talking about how, different developers and different projects received, 20-year, 30-year abatements, we can't continue along with that process. I think that when seniors are worried about losing their homes and worrying about getting resources, and we find those programs who offer those subsidies for them to stay in their homes, I think so when we're talking about taxes, we have to talk about ways to acquire money, balance the budget correctly, and stop wasteful spending, and we'll stop raising taxes.
When we think about affordability, that's certainly been it's been on the minds of everybody in this race, not just the candidates, but also residents. I've seen the town halls, Pam. I've seen people taking to social media and talk about, listen, I've lived in Jersey my whole life.
Yes.
And, I was just talking to, one of your running mates, the top of the ticket, Bill O'Day, just a few weeks ago here on the show. Okay. And listen, I've grown up in Hudson County my whole life, but when I drive through Jersey City, especially let's say, for example, Journal Square, I mean, I feel like I'm in Gotham City. I feel like Bruce Wayne driving through there with all these skyscrapers that, to be honest, 10, 15 years ago, that would have been unheard of in Jersey City, whether it's Journal Square, whether it's, in the Heights, even downtown. Case in point, where I lease my vehicle is at Buick and General Motors. Obviously, there's a great dealership on 440. I like going there. I like, renewing my lease for a new car every few years. But when I drive into 440, Pam, and I look at the South Side and I don't even recognize it. I look at all this development, and I get it that it's expensive to live in New York City right now. It's going to get even more expensive coming up after November, if you catch my drift. But I think that for those that are moving into Jersey, because it is an attractive place to live, that's, irrespective of some of the jokes I, throw out Uncle Dave and other people in Jersey City, it's a desirable place to live.
Right.
But having said that, when I look at, apartments that are, no bigger than my living room going for, $2,500 American, I just think to myself, my God, what is going on? Like, developers have gone crazy in the last decade.
Yeah.
There isn't a square inch that they don't love to develop on. And when I look at the South Side, I look at Greenville, I look at Ward A. Yes, people are moving there, and we'll get to public safety in a minute because there's still some sketchy spots, right? But regardless, it's a desirable place to live in. But it's not an affordable one to live in for many residents. And for lifers that come up to you when you're knocking on doors, Pam, I mean, you can't wave a magic wand. But what could you do on the council in your capacity as a council person?
So I want to highlight some of the things you said. Ward A, is a very attractive place. Jersey City is in general,
Yeah.
but Ward A, it's a very attractive and desirable place to live. And how I know is because I've been living here all my life, and that's 51 years. And I chose to stay here. I chose to purchase my home in 2019 and continue to raise my family here. I'm now a grandmother. And so I'm looking at another generation that I'm hoping will be able to live here and because they can afford it. I have no problem with developments. I love Jersey City growing. It's been growing pretty fast, and I just think a lot of development has not been responsible development. So it's not like we're anti-development; we're pro-responsible development that makes sense for the neighborhood these projects are coming in. We have a 20% affordable housing from passed by the city council, which is a nice number. However, we can do better. We can make it project based and not 20% across the board. That'll be one of the things I'm looking at doing. I love the fact that I partnered with Bill O'Day, who's a friend of my family. My parents proudly retired from the county, and they've been knowing Bill O'Day for a very long time. And I was introduced to him as a young girl. And so I'm proud to be running with him because he has built affordable housing. He understands that we have affordable housing crisis in Jersey City. He knows that we have an affordability crisis in Jersey City. Rents are high, but groceries are high, and parking issues. When you have to park privately or in garages, that is another cost added to the family. When you have to worry about your kids being in after-school programs or camps that are not free, that is another cost to your family and out of your pockets, right? So affordability and affordable housing, that word is thrown out there a lot, but it doesn't seem really affordable. Market rate, it doesn't seem market rate. And if it is, who is it for? Because the folks I knock on doors and talk to, they can't afford that $2,500 and they're afraid to be able to stay here. So I am proud to let Bill O'Day take the lead in how we're going to talk to the federal and state government. So we have to also change some type of formulas around. Things are not the same as they were. However, some of the formulas still remain the same. And so when we're talking about individuals who are teachers and firefighters and police officers and folks who run nonprofits and working families who are in companies that keep this country flowing, keep Jersey City flowing, and we have to make sure that we're taking care of them. But that starts with us talking to other legislators and working out ways to make sure that we are creating affordable housing that is truly affordable and addressing the affordability crisis in general.
Absolutely. And listen, at the end of the day, I don't think there's a magic wand to wave with something like this. Just to sort of
Absolutely.
irresponsibly say, well, we can get rents down to $1,000. Like, listen,
We've heard that slogan now.
yeah. Listen, I mean, I've never smoked weed. I don't care to, but my God, whatever it is, whatever that stash is, oh
Listen,
shit.
it sounds good. It's something that attracts the eye. Oh, we're gonna make buses free. We're gonna do so many things.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen.
That's old school politics, Fernando. And
listen,
we're really smart these days, and we understand that catchphrases and slogans is not what's going to change things around for Jersey City.
Listen, all I gotta say, that's some good shit you're smoking. Okay, that's all there is to it. Okay, it's just not realistic. But you're right. I think that it's interesting how this race has shaped up, where we've had candidates running for over a year, almost 2 years now.
Yes,
certain slogans and narratives. And to your point, yes, Jersey City is a changing city. I don't recognize it from 10, 15 years ago. And I'm someone that enjoys going to Jersey City for nightlife, enjoy going to, shop as well. A lot of great festivals throughout the year and carnivals and street fairs. And, I perfect example. I just look at downtown Jersey City where I look at Newark Avenue and I think of like an institution like Barcade, where that was a great spot. Okay. A lot of great first dates with ladies over the years there. And I loved it there. And it was affordable. But then all of a sudden, after the pandemic, property taxes go up, everything goes up in Jersey City. And before you know it, they can't afford to stay there. They had to sell, they closed down. Now all you're going to see is an apartment building there. And again, if you can afford to live there, that's a miracle in itself. Yeah, it's great. You'll be a block from the Grove Street Path and you'll be by all the great restaurants in downtown. But again, you're taking away some of the novelty, I think, for lifers in Jersey City that maybe can't afford to stay there. So I think, listen, you hit the nail on the head.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
I've had the pleasure of patronizing Barcade
Yeah.
and having a couple of days there. And
Yeah.
it was a very warm place, a very nice place to really network with folks, and just hang out and have good vibes. And so, sad to see that happen. And we would love something like Barcade,
Sure.
in Ward A, right? I think that sometimes even myself as a nonprofit, our office is on Monticello and we have another on MLK.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even matter what corridor you're on, or even if that corridor has the greatest public safety record. Rents are high.
Yeah.
Commercial space rent
Yeah.
is high.
Correct.
And paying for two offices, off of grant funding, and we're not selling a product. We provide services and we rely on state and federal grants to help us pay for them so we can offer it free to the community. But that rent needs to be paid every month, no matter if that grant funds are delayed.
Yeah.
So what nonprofits are very affected by it. A lot of them have to work out of their homes in order to be able to practice what they're doing for the community and have a place to live, because they can't afford both. And so, just wanting to make sure that we can turn the corridors in Ward A to places where businesses are thriving. I think one thing that I've heard from talking to residents and connecting with them, and like I said, I always want to repeat, not just in 2024 and 2025 after I announced, but within the last 8 years. We're talking about after I did not win in 2017. I never stopped connecting with the residents of Ward A. And one thing that I hear is that we're always surviving, in certain communities you go in. So you can probably think of those communities I'm not talking about in Ward A, but so none of the private developments, but in those corridors where, MLK and Bergen and Ocean Run, they're tired of surviving. We want to thrive. And in order to thrive, we can't be forgotten about. We have to have the accessibility. We have to be able to have communication with the person who is going to be sitting on council. And when I sit on council, you will see that you can have that accessibility to me. Folks know where I live, even if I'm not at City Hall, or even if you don't see me walking the streets. My number has been public for 30 years. I've had residents knock on my door who are not my direct neighbors to tell me about issues they need help with their families, whether it's with their youth, whether violence has impacted the family, whether they need housing, or somebody's going through a mental crisis or substance abuse issues. Pam is always there.
And it's interesting you say that, Pam. And folks, by the way, if you just joined us live right now, like, comment, and share tonight's episode as Jersey City Ward A Council candidate Pam Johnson joins us live here on Real Talk. Again, like, comment, and share tonight's episode. Gets the show out to more people, of course, work with that algorithm, as they say, folks. But Pam, I had the privilege of talking to you back in 2017. And absolutely. I remember that, sometimes people run for office and they don't get the desired result. And sometimes people just say, well, I'm going to do something else. And to your credit, you have stayed in the trenches. You rolled up your sleeves, you doubled down and said, you know what? I'm still in this community. I'm not going anywhere. You planted your roots down in Ward A. And again, you've been there. You've been doing the work. Like you just mentioned, you're answering phone calls. You're answering people. I'm not sure how I feel about people knocking on my door, but God bless you. But again, it shows, I think, the transparency about what your race is about and about what your platform is about specifically. Because again, you could have easily gone away. You run a very reputable nonprofit, a very successful nonprofit. You could have been good with that. You could have done a plethora of other things. Okay, You're still very young. The fact that you're a grandma blows my mind, because I'm like, wait, what? Okay, geez, okay. But you're still so young. You could do a plethora of other things. You chose not to. You chose to stay in the community, keep working with residents, and you said, I'm gonna give this another shot. And I think that's what's made your candidacy so unique. And I think, again, as I said at the start of the program, I call balls and strikes fairly here. I just feel that, again, no disrespect to the candidates. I'll see some of them tomorrow at the Hudson Media Group debate that I'll be moderating.
Yes.
But again, if I'm calling balls and strikes fairly, I think right now, if you put a gun to my head, I'm saying it's Denise Ridley and Pam Johnson in a runoff going into December. I think you're the two biggest names in this race. You have a lot, planted in the community. One's an incumbent. One's like the fiery challenger coming out of the corner, as they say in the late rounds, as we're in, looking to deal a knockout blow. We'll see, obviously, when that happens on November the 4th. But having said that, your candidacy is really unique. And I think for a lot of people maybe to tune in for the first time that haven't seen you or haven't seen you do media, give us a little bit of a brief bio. Obviously, since 2017, since losing that race, what have you been doing? And what were some of the highs and lows that took you to today?
And so let me just go back to what you said, that you don't know how you would feel people knocking on your doors. I'm okay with it, but my kids who are grown, they're 33 and 27, they're not too fond of that. It's been going on for a long time. And I think they just think of their mom's safety and the safety of our family. But everything, thank God, has always worked out well. And the people who I serve have always been very respectful and very kind of understanding that I do have a family who stay here. But yeah, so I mean, when you go back to 2017, there were 4 of us on the ballot. And Denise, she was successful in securing the win. And well, she got into a runoff. I'm not sure where Mr. Conti is, but I haven't seen him since that time. The other candidate who was running, basically disappeared as well. And I think right now he's helping opposite an opposing team, which is fine. That's always free to do what you want to do. But I think when it comes to myself, I've definitely rolled up my sleeves and definitely tapped into things that my community has needed. Since 2017, I've focused on my anti-violence coalition of Hudson County, which is a nonprofit that I created. It's a 501c3. And focused on that because I needed to make sure that the infrastructure of the nonprofit was solid. I needed to make sure that I secured several grants necessary to run a successful program, whether I was there or not, because I did know that I would lead back here. And so, I've done that. So we've written grants. I want to say it myself and a couple of my directors have written grants, and we've been awarded grants for violence prevention, intervention, healing, and treatment, which was not known to do 10 years ago, before we've advocated on a local and state level to make sure that violence is looked at as a public health concern and treated as a disease. So we made sure we laid that groundwork down to make sure that first legislators understood how we wanted violence to be treated and what we wanted to be done, for the victims of violence so they can heal and live their best life. A lot of times we wonder why individuals who went down a certain path growing up and went through trauma, why they end up either still going through that trauma or somehow now becoming the person who is delivering that trauma. It's because they were never treated for all the trauma they experienced years and years ago as a child. And so we wanted to make sure that we were able to do that. So we secured to date over $2 million in violence prevention and intervention from state funding. We've also secured county funding with youth programming and trying to make sure that we address issues after COVID with our children so they can properly get the treatment and therapeutic services needed in order to get back on track. COVID really hit people really hard, especially our children. We secured a $2 million grant for mental health services. After Andrew Washington was killed, after his family called Jersey City Medical Center to respond to a mental health crisis. And so we wanted to make sure that we were doing things to not only secure funding, but also make sure we were able to hire folks from within Jersey City, particularly from those neighborhoods that are concentrated by violence, because they are the trusted people in those neighborhoods, to make sure that we're able to deliver the message of where you can come in and get help. We have 2 locations now. We're opening up a mental health crisis center. And so we've been doing a lot with the program to sustain it and bringing those services to the people of Ward A and throughout Jersey City who need it.
Well said there, Pam. Folks, if you're just joining us live right now, again, like, comment, and share tonight's episode. It really helps get the episode to more people. As my guest tonight is Jersey City Ward A Council candidate Pam Johnson, joins us live right now on Real Talk. Folks, drop a comment, question there in the comment section. Love to read them on the air from everyone tuning in tonight here on Jersey First TV. You mentioned something right now, Pam, that's near and dear to my heart, and that is public safety. And certainly we know that the Jersey Police Department has been really under the microscope for some years now.
Yes.
Without a doubt, Public Safety Director Shea, who I think many in Jersey City, I think people are counting the days until Mr. Shea is gone at the end of this year, obviously with a new mayor taking office in January.
Yes.
Whether that's going to be, again, that remains to be seen. Again, I'll go on record, and I call balls and strikes fairly. I think it's going to be Jim McGreevey, Bill O'Day in the runoff. Again, no disrespect to other candidates, but you have to look at this race fairly and look at reading the tea leaves in the room, as they say. But regardless, obviously, many Jersey residents were rejoiced that there'll be a new public safety director. Obviously, Director Shea's legacy is very, very very mixed, to say the least. It's a family show. I could say worse, but regardless of that, public safety, certainly in Ward A, remains a preeminent concern for a
Yes.
lot of residents. You can't just wave a magic wand. It just can't be like, well, let's just hire more police. That solves everything, which again, hiring more police is always a good thing. I don't want to say
Yep.
it's not. It's great. However, I think it's fair to say we need more resources in every ward, not just Ward A, other than just hiring more cops. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Listen, we love and we respect Jersey City PD. There's not a time that I see a police officer, whether I am walking or I'm at a grocery store and walking by or shopping within, where I don't say thank you for all you do for the residents of Jersey City. And that is just, and even firefighters, because those are jobs that are truly commendable, and you have to have a certain type of heart, a certain type of soul to even want to do that job, and so and the pay is not very good, so we always respect and love our officers and our firefighters. So hats are always off to them, and yes, we always need to grow our police force, as long as we're growing it wisely, making sure that we're giving officers adequate training to make sure they're ready to hit those streets, making sure that we have community meetings, which was started a couple of years ago with new recruits after they graduate the academy, introducing them to folks in the community, in those neighborhoods that they were going to be on, that their tours were going to be on, or if they're stationed on a certain corner where violence is concentrated. We wanted to make sure that they didn't feel alone. And so they know, like Pam Johnson lives on Princeton, right off of Danforth, between Cater. So if something's happening at Triangle Park, that hasn't escalated to violence, you can contact Pam Johnson and she can send her team to try to de-escalate before violence has even gotten to the point where police are needed. So we're always happy to make sure that our police force is growing. However, one thing that I wanted to definitely add to that is community groups working with police have become part of a normalcy in Jersey City. Just last year in the summertime, they had a press conference in front of City Hall Annex. Councilman Frank Gilmore, Mayor Fulop, and others were out there, and they wanted to honor some community groups. Ours were one of them, because we had 0 homicides in the summer. Right. And although we would have loved for it to be 0 homicides in 2024, the point being is that we had to celebrate that, because we couldn't even remember. We had to Google it, and I don't even know the year, because it was so long ago that it's not even meaningful to keep in my head, because we want to make sure that we're living off of 2024 and not moving back to that when there were homicides in the summer. But, we were able to do that while working with police and working with the prosecutor's office and working with families and being on the ground in neighborhoods concentrated with violence, doing a strategic focus in those neighborhoods to offer programming, to go door to door, to set up on the corner. We call it occupying the corners on Friday nights late. So we can actually talk to the individuals who may need a job, who may need some mental health, awareness or support, individuals who are having substance abuse issues, individuals who are actually sleeping on those corners, or sleeping from going from couch to couch, or, a little shelter to another shelter. We know that things cause violence, and we know the neighborhoods that it's concentrated in. And the thing is that the police are doing their job by being stationed there to try to prevent the next act of violence. But it was up to those nonprofits and community organizations to really go to those people in those areas to see how we can effectively help make a bigger impact and connect you to the resources that you need. So I think community and law enforcement work so well together, and it's actually working. We're actually getting calls from the police department. I mean, we always have as an anti-violence coalition, because we have those relationships, but now other nonprofits are as well. And back to Director Shea, yes, January, I can't wait until that happens, because, he has to go.
Fair enough. Let me ask you this. Obviously, you're running for a council seat. Certainly, you're running against an incumbent. But at the top of the ticket, obviously, is Bill O'Day, with your team,
Yes.
running to be the next mayor. Obviously, the incumbent chose not to run after 3 terms, after an unsuccessful bid in the Democrat Party primary this past June.
Yes.
Stephen Fulop will leave office coming up on December the 31st. Pam, looking back, how do you look at Stephen Fulop's 3 terms? How do you look at his highs and lows? What should we applaud? What should we not applaud? And again, listen, congrats to him. He'll be working across the river in New York City.
I heard.
Yeah, listen, that's a nice landing pad. I wish I had that net pay. Every 2 weeks we'll see. Good for him, obviously. But again, after 3 terms, he'll be leaving this December the 31st. How do you want to look back on the legacy of Stephen Fulop?
Going back to what you said, look, it's always good. That is a good landing pad, and he clearly landed on his feet. So I remember 2017, you asked me what I would grade him. And that was like a big thing when my grade was like plastered all over social media. And I was really just getting to know him then, and found myself, very busy in Ward A and throughout Greenville sections of Jersey City, but mainly Ward A, kind of preventing and fighting crime from a community standpoint, and in those households where, trauma was happening. And I would have loved for him to have more of a hyper focus on providing community resources directly in those communities that need them. I know they're bringing a recreation center here in Ward A, or there have been talks about it, but we never really know what's coming. But that wasn't happening before. And that focus wasn't there before. So that leads me to be a little suspicious about, why it was mentioned most recently during an election, or during the campaigning for a 2025 election. But I wish there would have been a more focus on youth and senior services, and just providing, more direct community services and resources, in those communities that are suffering, because those are the communities that were suffering before he came mayor. And unfortunately, they're still suffering right now.
Fair enough. So has the grade improved since 2017?
I was very harsh on him in 2017. I think I gave him a D,
okay,
if I remember correctly. So I'm going to say since 2017 up until 2018, 2017 to now, I think he's made a more of a direct effort to try to change the narrative. But I also think that it was a little too late.
Fair enough. Getting back to your race, you mentioned right now, obviously, services for seniors and for our kids. A viable recreation program, I think, is still lacking in Jersey City.
Absolutely.
I know every mayoral candidate has talked about it, especially on this show, when I've discussed it, as well as other council candidates I've talked to on this program as well. What would you like to see in your capacity as a council person, though, Pam, in Ward A about addressing recreation, and what's realistic?
So I think that it's realistic for us to look at the budget very carefully and reallocate money from certain areas and I don't know what those areas are right now, but we have a huge budget, and it gets higher and higher, every time it's up, right? And I think that we have to look at the budget and see where we can take money from, reallocate money, or simply, what's not working and what needs to work. We need recreation centers in several neighborhoods in Ward A, not just in Ward A in general, not one rec center. Because if anyone knows Ward A, you know that kids from certain areas cannot safely travel to neighborhoods in other areas of Ward A. In 2021, the redistricting happened. The courts maintained it, and it's here. And so Ward A has extended into the Lafayette area. And so kids from this south side some kids cannot safely go in the Lafayette area safely. So we have to then figure out where we're going to put the one rec center. So there needs to be recreational spaces. We have a lot of spaces that have been closed for a long time. Hey, let's talk to the owners and see how we can come to an understanding and open this space up for youth. And what would the owner be able to, offer to the community? I mean, the space has been closed for a very long time, so therefore they're not making a profit with renting it. So how can we work together and create a relationship and provide services to our youth and to their families, right? How can we also utilize libraries to have recreation spaces and meeting spaces and spaces where kids can get tutoring help and have their therapists meet them there, and just have separate spaces practicing and doing different things that provide resources in safe neighborhoods throughout Ward A, not just one in Ward A. And it's very easy to do it, Fernando. Look at the budget. Let's move some things around. What has not been working? Stop the wasteful spending. Let's get it done, because we make all these promises, and promises to our youth have been overwhelmingly stated in every election, and it never ever gets achieved.
Well said there. And actually, since you bring up the budget, obviously that's going to be one of the biggest responsibilities any council person has to undertake.
Yes.
And listen, I think it's very likely it's going to be a split council. There's so many people running. I mean, it almost feels like a scroll out of like Game of Thrones almost. Like it's like you feel bad for Junior Maldonado, where like this guy's gonna be like, damn, I gotta fucking, I gotta print this thing here. Like, oh my God. And it's really, obviously it's going to be, I think, very labor intensive for Jersey residents, no question. We've obviously voting by mail has begun. Early
Yes.
voting begins in just really less than 10 days, right
Yes.
before Halloween. And obviously people can vote in person on November the 4th. But it just seems like there's so many candidates that very likely we're going to have a split council. Having said that, in your capacity, Pam, should you again get across the finish line, take office in January, without a doubt, you'll have to get to work right away along with your council mates as pertains to the new municipal budget.
Absolutely.
People talk about, well, there's a lot of wasteful spending. I mean, I talk about it all the time on this show, but I can sort of itemize things, and I know you can too. So let's talk about that. What comes to your mind right away about what perhaps has been some wasteful spending on Grove Street for some time in the municipal budget, and what would you like to cut, quite frankly, that maybe has outgrown its usefulness so far?
I mean, so on Grove Street, I thought it was a lot of wasteful spending down there. I don't live there, but when I go down there and when I look around and I look at the sidewalks and the streets, they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong, especially the whole Jersey Avenue and Newark Avenue pedestrian plaza. It's beautiful, but when you're focusing on so much of lifting a curb. And not really focusing on structures and infrastructure in neighborhoods, which is why we have a lot of digging happening right now, and not just downtown, but throughout Jersey City. I think that you really have to look at things and see where money is more well spent at. I also think, to be honest, James Shea's salary is wasteful spending. But that's my personal opinion. But I feel like that's the sense.
Damn, Pam, you're not even going for a body blow. You're just like you're going for the jugular, like click right there. Like that's what you're going for. Damn.
I mean, we have to be honest, and
Yeah.
in a world of cancel culture, in a world where people cannot speak up about things that are just not right, that are unfair, unjust, and just like immoral to even do, and we have to be honest. And I think honesty sometimes is brutal, right? I can take honesty, I can't take lies. Like I'm not gonna, I can't take people sitting here and telling me that what I just said was incorrect when it was absolutely correct.
Listen, you hit it perfectly on the head. I don't like bullshit either. Again, I'm Cuban, so I'm always going to be not having a filter. I want brutal honesty as well.
No, you seriously. Listen, I'm the only girl. So my mom and my dad had 4 children. I have 3 brothers. And so I grew up in a very honest household. My mom was more religious than my dad, meaning we went to church every Sunday, as a family, but wanting to be honest, not only in a spiritual sense, but in a sense where you're not really believing your lies. Like you can't lie to yourself, and you can't run from yourself. And so you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror every morning. And it's just honesty is good. It's good for you. It's good for me. And I think it's definitely good for the residents of Ward A. Tell me the truth. Let us work it out. Let us work through it and find a better way to come up with a better solution. But don't lie to me and then all hell breaks loose and everything starts falling apart.
Pam, I think that's a perfect segue to my next topic here about brutal honesty. And without a doubt, I think that when people decide to run for any type of elected office, and you're looking to challenge an incumbent, I think, again, you don't need I don't think you need a degree in political science to understand
Right.
that you're not happy with your representation in Ward A. Having said that, and again, it's a family-friendly show, right?
Right.
What are you not happy with the current incumbent? Because certainly, I think it's fair to say if you were pleased with her representation on the council, you would not run. You're clearly not happy. So what is lacking for the incumbent in Ward A right now?
Absolutely. And just, so when Denise got into the runoff and then, won the runoff, we've had several conversations. I respect her as a woman. I respect her as a councilwoman because she did win and did become the councilwoman. Even in 2021, folks approached me to run. And I said, listen, she just won, not too long ago. Let's give her a chance to really change things. And I believe in fairness, right? So I wasn't even considering it then. And I was very hyper focused on the nonprofit and building that up, and also my community and the residents of Ward A. But when I still have those same seniors, when I still have those working families and the struggling families in certain neighborhoods that have gone untouched and overlooked. And I'm talking about the corridors of Ocean and Bergen and MLK. Although I will be the councilwoman for everyone who lives in Ward A, certain neighborhoods are thriving, and they were prior to her coming in there. And other neighborhoods that folks were talking about helping and promising resources to, those neighborhoods are still lacking. Those neighborhoods are still in deplorable conditions, even with new development. It hasn't addressed issues of dumping, issues of homicides, issues of violence, issues of lack of development, issues of low economic wealth or development. It's still, and the accessibility of the councilwoman. A lot of folks tell me we can't get her to call us back. We can't get her to answer emails. Some folks love her aide, which is Gladys, but at the end of the day, folks want to hear from the councilwoman. And if you're citing wins, I need you to cite more than what you've done than Bayfront.
Pam, do you think it was a wise move? I mean, because again, there are some incumbents that in the past have chosen to not run on a ticket. The councilwoman has chosen to run on a ticket, which is very progressive.
Mhm.
And listen again, and no disrespect to the head of that ticket. I like James Solomon, the person. I like him personally. I've interviewed him. He's a gentleman. He's a sports fan. I've had cordial conversations with him. I don't like some of his policies. Full disclosure, I don't like some of the people that work for him, but I mean, that's another conversation. But I just think that there's this, I think there's an ill-conceived perspective here about what works in downtown and what narratives sell downtown don't necessarily resonate throughout the city. Right. And again, listen, if you're about identity and woke bullshit and pronouns and all that, that's great. If you're in downtown Jersey City, God bless you. You'll blow a load in your pants and you'll be happy about that stuff. But for everybody else in Jersey City, in the Heights, in the South Side, Greenville, West Side, wherever, I think that there has to be a sort of a more macro approach of how to look at Jersey City, not just like what resonates for, some of the, cappuccino sipping, I don't know, Peloton using, working professionals that, again,
Not
are
the
in downtown,
Peloton.
right? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think that, was it a wise move for the councilman to join that ticket? Because, again, James is very, very progressive. There aren't a lot of things I like about progressive politics. I can get on board with some things because I can call balls and strikes fairly, but by and large, it just seems like talking about national issues, that's not going to get your garbage picked up. That's not going to get your snow shoveled. That's not going to look at services for seniors or for kids or addressing the Board of Ed. Like, I get it. You want to resonate with your progressive base and get Ross Baraka to come into Jersey City and do cartwheels and shit. And that's great. But at the end of the day, it's about local issues. Do you think that was a good idea for the councilwoman to join that ticket?
Now, are you saying a councilman or are you talking about the councilwoman?
What do you think the councilwoman you're running with, running against, do you think it's a good idea to join the councilman?
Okay. So I was very surprised to see that union. And I was very surprised because James and I ran at the same time. And we supported each other. And so even in the point where I did not have the resources to run, and he held a fundraiser for me, and over the next course of years, we were able to work on some things together that would directly affect the South Side at the time, which was Ward A. And when I saw the announcement that he was adding her to his ticket, I just didn't understand it, because I know for a fact, because James was advocating internally for some of the things that we wanted for our community of Ward A. And I know that there was a lot of things, their voting record is very different. And so I just didn't understand what that union was about. So I'm not really sure. I was surprised to see it, though. I know that the voting record was very different. I did read a statement that said that, some people think that they didn't work together, but they absolutely did. But I know a lot of times they absolutely didn't. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like after the election happens and the votes are counted, if that union can even exist working together in the future for real.
Fair enough. Pam, getting back to Ward A here and your race specifically. I mean, again, I've looked at your website. Again, running with Bill O'Day, you're on a great ticket. Some would argue probably the most balanced ticket in this race for mayor and also for council seats in 2025. Obviously, let's talk about some of your running mates
Sure.
here. Without a doubt, first one that comes to mind certainly is councilman at large, Danny Rivera. This is a guy who's been in the trenches, a guy who really has been through all the wars, as they say in Jersey City, still
Yes.
standing, one of the more prominent Hispanic voices in Jersey City. Again, joining you on that ticket. When you were asked to join the Bill O'Day ticket, what was your first reaction? And certainly since then, I know you've been working hard for Bill. You want to, as they say, you just don't want to ride the coattails. You want to get across the finish line yourself,
Absolutely.
right? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So how did that feel joining the ticket, and then subsequently since then working with Bill and the rest of the ticket to sort of have a very unifying message?
It's been good. So once the ticket developed, so because I want everyone to understand that when Bill asked me to run on the ticket, it was January of 2024. And so there was no ticket. He knew he was going to run for mayor, and he asked me to run. At that time, I asked him if he had any other folks in mind. He did mention Kristen. I'm not sure if he had asked her, Zajoga Hart, who's also running at large. But other than that, there was no one that names were put out there at that time. So, I was happy that I was asked, and happy to join Bill because I have a lot of respect for him. He's a very hard worker. He has helped me in the past, helped our nonprofit, helped many families in Ward A and throughout Jersey City get employment, secure schooling in trade schools, and just do a whole bunch of things. He is a worker. And one thing that I love about the ticket, once it did form, I think the last person we picked up was Dan Israel in Ward E. And I was around June. So once the ticket was completed and I got a chance to see, like, this is a ticket really of workers. Very hard workers, folks who are not used to beating up these streets and going and knocking on doors and talking to folks on the corners, talking to folks coming out grocery stores, just talking to folks in general. And I'm talking about talking to folks who not everyone wants to talk to, going in neighborhoods who folks are fearful of walking through. And so this is the type of work that we do. And Bill has been doing it, whether it's walking on the west side to the south side to downtown or midtown, he does it. And I'm happy to follow his lead, but I'm also happy to be alongside some good worker bees. Oh my goodness. And I call us a bunch of disservice workers. Like, I remember someone calling us superheroes. And I said, that's a really nice terminology, but I don't want to be called a superhero because I think my greatest strength and my superpower is being able to connect and communicate with the residents of Ward A, no matter what area you live in, or what you look like, or what background you come from. So I think, being able to be effective communicators and just worker bees, just hard workers who are trying to get the job done. And we're effective at it. We produce real results without titles. I've never been an elected official. However, you can't tell people of Jersey City and in Ward A that Pam Johnson has not been impactful and effective, not only in their families, but in the community of Ward A.
Fair enough. Pam, let me ask you this because I think it's a multi-layered type of operation when it comes to hopefully building more schools in Jersey City. You have to have the mayor along with the council work with the legislators. And obviously there are two legislators in Jersey City, both in LD 31 and LD 32. Certainly, Ward A is within the 31st legislative district area. Obviously, we have assembly candidates on the ballot this November. Certainly, the state Senate seat won't be up until 2027. But at the end of the day, realistically, what would you like to see happen in Ward A when it comes to the possibility of a new school? Do we need a STEM type of high school? Do we need a sort of maybe a schools of technology? What do you think is necessary? And I know that the Board of Ed is a very separate entity from the mayor's office and the council. They have different budgets, they have
Yes.
different elections, et cetera, et cetera. But ideally, in Pam Johnson's world, what would you like to see in Ward 8 in the sense of a new school? What type of school? What should it focus on?
So, I mean, would love to see a new school that offers STEM, right? Not necessarily a STEM school, because I also believe that there are kids who are learning in their own way. They are passionate about their own things. They have talents in very different ways, right? We want to promote entrepreneurship. We want to make sure we're promoting the trades, because if the unions, it's the careers to take care of your families, that is great money and it's great benefits, right? We want to make sure that we're pushing education, but not in the more structural way, but in very different ways, so our kids can compete with the broader world and the broader generation. And so a STEM school, but that offers trade, that offers entrepreneurship, and not just math, English, and science and history, and but also making sure that it's just not so traditional, because the world is not moving in a traditional fashion right now. And so, yes, a new school, I don't think anybody would turn down a new school. How we can get it done, I think that's when we start talking to the state again and find out why we were penalized in the first place and having those budget cuts, and how to get that money back.
Without a doubt, at the top of the ticket, though, Pam, Bill's experience has been highlighted a lot during this race. Certainly, the other candidates that are also running for mayor have different backgrounds, some at the state, municipal level, statewide level, local council as well. But when we think about how complex Jersey City has become, certainly, and we talked about it earlier, after 3 terms of Stephen Fulop, I think it's fair to say a lot of residents want to move away from what the Fulop legacy is going to be. Certainly, like no Pompidou, maybe some unnecessary spending in some areas. At the end of the day, when we think about a vision for Jersey City, we think about something that for me comes to mind, and that's mass transit. And that's public transportation, where residents, I think, are still suffering. Yeah, listen, where I live up here in North Hudson, I walk 2 blocks, there's a light rail. I can get to Hoboken, Jersey City. Great. I drive everywhere, so I don't really have to rely on buses. But not every resident has that luxury. And I think in Jersey City is a great example where a bus system needs a tremendous overhaul, where the council and the new mayor obviously will have to work with legislators to maybe even get more light rail stops, which I think are necessary in Jersey City. For a city that's getting as crowded as it is,
Right.
I think it's fair to say more light rail stops are necessary. But at the end of the day, mass transit and buses, what do you think could be done to overhaul or maybe even fix the buses in Jersey City?
So I think a lot of conversations need to happen. I know our team, we talk a lot about transportation. We talk a lot about traffic not flowing on a good scale. We talk about, not just creating more bike lanes, but, making sure that there is ways for the traffic to flow, and just tapping into a system that is more productive, right? Especially areas where there are senior centers in, areas where there are schools in, so our youth can travel to and from safely, and nicely, and good transportation. And so I think a lot of things can be done, but I think that would involve bringing in our state legislators to make sure that we're developing a system that works properly for everyone, and also involving folks in those communities directly in those neighborhoods who would be impacted in the conversation, to know what their thoughts are and make sure that they're first at the table. So I'm ready, more than capable, and able to tackle that. But also, I want to make sure that the voices of our community are at the table first, and folks are not making decisions for us who live in those neighborhoods and will be directly impacted by any change that we bring to that area.
Pam, when you've been going door to door, I know I've seen tables, for example, at street fairs, festivals throughout the summer. You've been running for quite some time. And I've been to fundraisers. Obviously, you and the ticket have been consistent about it. But what have been some of the challenges right now? Obviously, when it comes to either fundraising, knocking on doors, talking to residents, because let's be honest, I think a lot of residents are just sort of tuning out politics for different reasons. They're either apathetic about it, they're turned off, they don't like the news coverage that they're getting. As we all know, at the local level, news coverage isn't what it used to be. I mean, yes, I mean, we're still very blessed with having great local news sites like the Hudson County View, the Jersey City Times, this show, in addition to like the local taps and the patches. But at the end of the day, I think that residents have to have a reason to be motivated to go vote. What has been arguably the best strategy for you when you've been knocking on doors, phone banking, whatever the case may be, that you get the sense that residents are coming over to your side and they look at you and saying, you know what? We've seen what the incumbent's done. We don't like what's being done. I think it's time for new eyes, a fresh face, new blood. What do you think has been winning people over for your candidacy?
So I think Timo Day and just Pam Johnson in general for War Day. I think I'm a very effective communicator. I think that I can deliver a message with passion and commitment because I can also prove a history and a track record where this is all coming from, right? I think once you can get a person on the phone or you get a person to open the door and you lead with, hi, my name is Pam Johnson and I'm running for Ward A City Council. And then you can lead with, let me tell you what I've been working on with the community, side by side. Let me tell you what we have achieved with the community side by side. This is what they want and what we want. And let me tell you, like, where we've been able to go from here to there in the last 8 years, side by side, us working together. Not me taking what I want and advocating for it, but me having meetings, open meetings, public meetings with my community, going to the doors, going into businesses to see what they want. So when people know that their voice is at the table and you're not seeking their vote so you can get in office, but never bring them to the table, never go back to them and say, well, we won. And now we're here. And now I want to really talk to you so we can really get on the job. And so I can really start working for you. I think that is the conversation that hasn't been had and that wasn't happening during Councilwoman's tenure. And so I just think that they're looking for change and they're looking for a fresh face, and why not a face that you're used to seeing?
Pam, should you get across the finish line in January, take office, I know with your organization, I don't want to sound mean about it, but will that have to take a back seat for some time because you're going to be focusing strictly on the council? Or do you have a certain type of, I don't want to say delegation, but do you have a certain amount of manpower that could still oversee the organization, which you've been doing great work with, without that taking a little bit of a, not a backseat, but certainly without your presence there as much as it is now? I think, I don't want to say it'll hurt it, but do you foresee having to spend less time with that because you want to focus strictly on the council?
Yes. This is another reason, as I stated earlier, is that, I decided not to run, even though I was approached many times in 2021, because I was really focusing on the infrastructure of the organization. So I am in a couple of positions. I can totally take a back seat. I could totally step away and the organization will flow. And it will continue to be there to service and provide resources to residents who need them and who are victims of violence and traumatized by violence within their neighborhoods. We have a great staff down from the frontline workers who reside in those communities concentrated by violence to our management and directors who are more than capable of leading, because we focused over the last 4 years and making sure that when it was time for me to step away, right? Because there always should be a time, I really say that, organizing and creating the Anti-Violence Coalition, like, we don't want to be here forever because that means that, violence is still happening. We would love to rebrand later on once we're able to, decrease violence and, just get rid of violence totally, because that is a goal, to have a peaceful society that we can pivot and into an organization that's providing resources just for community development and just for youth and working families. But yeah, I'm definitely in a position that I can focus full time on being the councilwoman of Ward A, and I'm happy to do that.
Pam, before I let you go, what are some handles, websites? Obviously, with less than 30 days to go, every vote counts, but you obviously want to get your message out there. What's some of your websites and social media handles for our viewers tonight to check out?
Absolutely. My website is pamjohnsonforwarda.com. So that's pamjohnsonforwarda.com. My Facebook is Pam Johnson for Jersey City.
Okay. And quick lightning round, because maybe residents are tuning in for the first time and have not heard of Pam Johnson, but we've heard from Pam Johnson, the candidate, the mom, the
Yep.
anti-violence advocate, right? And
Yep.
of course, lifelong Jersey resident. But let's just talk to Pam Johnson, the woman, the regular girl, right?
Okay. I
As
mean,
they say,
because I am a girl inside.
that's it. That's it. As they say, a girl, lifelong Jersey resident. Quick lightning round here, and let's get to know Pam Johnson, the mom, the lady, as they say here. So let's go. I grew up big R&B fan, different genres throughout my time, but
Okay.
put you on the spot here. Better singer, Whitney or Mariah?
Whitney.
Absolutely. It's not even close. It's not even
Nope.
close. And
Nope.
and it's funny. I had just learned this. Her first album, I think it was the Whitney Houston album. I did
Hmm.
not know this. She recorded it on one take. That's
Oh, I
crazy.
didn't know that either.
That's crazy. The
Yeah. I
idea
mean,
of like
she's fabulous.
the thing of so emotional.
Yes.
Okay, how will I know? Like that great album. The fact that she recorded it
Yes.
in one take, that blows my mind.
It was
I can't
perfect.
even sing in the shower on one take. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
you just did that. That was crazy.
And her
Now,
hairstyles, wonderful.
oh, absolutely. Now,
Yes.
again, grew up on R&B during the 80s, 90s. I would argue I was always an East Coast guy. Love West Coast. It was fine, but
Okay.
I was a Biggie guy. Favorite Biggie song if you had one.
Let me think. Oh, favorite. I don't know the name of it, but it's the one with the hook like Biggie, give me one more
Oh
chance.
yes. Damn, I should know that. Okay.
That was my song.
Okay. Listen,
First
I
things
grew,
first. I can't rap it because all the lyrics are not good, but that I love it.
listen, growing up on 90s hip hop, it was amazing. Favorite NBA team right now, if you have one?
Favorite NBA team.
You a sports girl much or you know?
So I'm like, I am a sports girl. I was an athlete growing up, so I like played everything. My father it's funny. My father used to remind his three sons that I had three sons and one daughter, and only my daughter plays sports. Like
Okay.
you guys
Wow.
play nothing.
Okay.
But they were more into games and reading and stuff like that. So to give them their props. But I want to say that I'm still and will always be a Chicago Bulls fan. So
Okay. Okay. Listen, I think it's fair to say that those 90s Bulls teams were so well coached. From
yeah,
top to
yeah.
bottom, I
I'm
think you
just
can,
still a fan, like always. And if other like that was my team, so that's always gonna be my team. But I love the Celtics. I love the Knicks. There were other teams who I
sure,
like
sure.
certain players, but the Bulls by far, and not just because of Jordan either.
No, listen, top to bottom, well coached, great
Yes,
roster.
yes,
Listen, I'm a Laker fan. I think you can make a case those 90s Bulls were as good as
yes,
any Laker team, any
yes,
Celtic team, any Spurs team over the year. I mean,
yes,
that's how good they
absolutely,
were. That's how good.
absolutely. My
That's how good
mom
they
is
were.
still a Lakers fan.
Absolutely. Marvel or DC girl?
Marvel, baby.
Okay, favorite Marvel character.
Oh. Uh, favorite Marvel character. That's hard. Are you Marvel or DC?
I'm a Marvel guy. I'll be very honest. Cocky, a little smug. I'm a Tony Stark guy, Iron Man all day. So,
Uh,
that's me.
okay.
That's me.
I don't. I want to like pick one, but I just love all the Marvel characters.
Listen, and I'm excited that
Like I'm not biased. I love them all.
listen, I'm with you. I'm excited about next year, a new Spider-Man movie, a new Avengers,
I am too.
new
Yeah.
Daredevil season. I'm excited. So
Yeah.
I'm all for that. Favorite cuisine, and I hate to put you on the spot, but favorite restaurant in War Day.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a favorite because I go to them all. But I maybe like let's say like okay, soul food, Lady G's at Bananas.
Okay.
She has a food truck, been going to a food truck for many years because she was doing renovation on the space, and she's been open for like almost a year now. I love Lakos. I've been going to Lakos for a long time,
Okay.
like I don't know, over 30 years. With my family and with friends, and so Italian cuisine. I love Lakos. I love Mauricio's on the corner. It used to be Nick's.
Okay.
Used to be Lou's. Nick's is on Communipaw, another part of Warday.
Gotcha.
But I do love that. Harry Daughter, I love that. Oh my God, Pinwheel, which is a nice Thai place on Communipaw. Love. I mean, of course, I love Dunkin' Donuts on JFK.
Sure.
I see View, like, so I get breakfast there all the time. A Wonder Bagel in the strip mall over there where DMV is. So I have a lot of them. I go to like all of the Ward A restaurants, and even like, so there are several bodegas. I get my coffee from there as well. A lot of Spanish places like Karina is on the corner of Linden and Ocean. I love and been going there since my children were children. So yeah, Ward A has definitely, they have nice cuisine.
All right, good stuff.
And we're looking forward to having more businesses open here. So that's why we got to make sure that, we're making it affordable for those businesses to be able to rent the spaces that are available and thrive and really, make a profit.
That's right. You said it perfectly. Last one here. One life do-over.
One life do-over. One life do-over. If I could do it over, I would have pursued some acting back in the day.
Okay, you know what?
I wanted when I was a teenager, I wanted to be an actress.
Okay.
And I just never pursued it.
I could see you on a Netflix series. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? I could see you on a Netflix show.
Though, not Tubi. Got to get on Netflix.
Yes. And you know what? I mean,
I watch Tubi though, but
I love Tubi. You see a lot of good
stuff. Sometimes the movies be a little off. You see things that are not supposed to be there.
Yeah, or sometimes it's a little censored. I'm like, wait a minute.
Something happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. But Pam, that's a life do-over, I think. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Pam, again, I want to thank you for your time. It's always a good conversation. Certainly, I'm excited for your candidacy. And again, for someone like yourself, staying in the trenches, rolling up your sleeves, doubling down, getting to work. I think that's the best way, at least from someone from the outside looking in, to describe what your candidacy means. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your belief in my brand of award-winning journalism. I know not everybody in Jersey City thinks so. I mean, but my traffic says otherwise. So I don't want to chirp too much, but
listen, Fernando, one thing that I've learned, and I know you know this, you can't worry about what other people are saying about this, about your own success that is factual, right? Yeah. So continue to keep leveling up and to higher heights. And I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and we're gonna move forward until this win.
Absolutely. And again, I want to wish you the best of luck coming up on November the 4th. I just feel that. Again, I feel you and the incumbent are going to be in a runoff. Again, no disrespect to anybody else, but calling balls and strikes fairly, that's how I look at it. So we'll see coming up on November the 4th. Pam, I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
So, just a message. Well, thank you. Let me start off with thank you, Fernando, for having me on Real Talk. And we did definitely keep it real and had a lot of real talk tonight. And so, I think we both forgot about the hard stop in 30 minutes because we've been on here an hour.
Yeah, but sorry about that. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's how we do when we get together. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate that we always have a line of communication. And this is to my Ward A residents. I want you to know that you have a chance to vote for a community advocate, an activist who has been working for a very long time in the trenches with you, standing right beside you. And beside you wherever you were standing. And sometimes those places we were standing in wasn't always most comfortable. However, we believed in each other. We continue to believe in each other and work together. And I want you to know that when I get your vote, and to the folks who have already voted for me, thank you. But when we win this election, whether it goes into a runoff as those are predicting, or whether I take it on first ballot, when it happens, and whatever that happens is, I will still be standing with and for you side by side like I always been. You don't have to look for anyone to save us. We've been here saving ourselves, and getting us that seat will make sure that we're able to take it to a different level.
Folks, coming up on November the 4th, actually coming up during early voting later this month, and even vote by mail, and on election day, you have choices in Ward A. One of them is my guest tonight. Ward A Council candidate, Pam Johnson, joins us here on Real Talk. Pam, best of luck to you. I'll see you soon. And once again, thank you for joining us here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Have a great night.
Thank you, Fernando. Appreciate you. Have a great night.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Folks, good stuff there with Pam Johnson. And again, if you have had a chance, if you're just tuning in live, folks, again, don't sweat it. Like, comment, and share. Check out the episode and check out the replay. A lot of great topics to talk about with tonight's council candidate in Ward A, Pam Johnson. Certainly, folks, with less than 30 days to go, vote by mail has begun already, and early voting will be coming up right a little before Halloween weekend, my favorite time of the year. And certainly, you can vote in person on election day as well. But, folks, there's no shortage of candidates in Jersey City. It's been arguably one of the most memorable elections I can ever recall in my adult life in Jersey City. So many council candidates, both in the wards and at large, a lot of mayoral candidates. It all comes to its conclusion, perhaps for some, coming up on November the 4th. And without a doubt, I think there will be runoffs in plenty of the wards and the at-larges, which will, again, take us into the first Tuesday of December later on this year. But, folks, again, great episode there tonight with Pam Johnson. And as I said before, I mean, again, I had the privilege of interviewing her back in 2017 on one of my other podcasts. And listen, I mean, for someone that, listen, you lose, you can get disillusioned. You might say, maybe politics isn't for me. I'm going to do something else. And Pam decided to continue working with her anti-violence coalition, which has done tremendous work in Jersey City, folks. Don't take my word for it. Just Google it. Okay? Look it up. Okay? She's done the work. She's rolled up her sleeves, right? As I say, she's cut her teeth here in Ward A on the south side of Jersey City, in Greenville. She's cut her teeth in there. She's rolled up her sleeves, and she's gotten to work. Can't say the same for a lot of other people, right? Who run for office and say, well, I lost. Oh, well, I might go do something else. No, folks, that's and not revisit it again. Or maybe just get out of the limelight completely and not even care about your community. Folks, that's not who Pam Johnson is. She clearly has cared for her community. She has since 2017. And 8 years later, folks, I think we can make the case that Pam has a really good chance in less than 30 days to get into a runoff with the current incumbent, Councilwoman Denise Ridley, that will go into December. Again, folks, we call balls and strikes fairly on this show. Pam has as good of a chance as anybody to do that coming up on November the 4th. We'll see if she gets across the finish line. So once again, I want to thank Pam Johnson, my guest tonight here on Real Talk, folks, as we'll continue covering election 2025 here as we're approaching November the 4th. Folks, again, I can't say enough here. If you just joined us live right now, like, comment, and share tonight's episode. It goes a long way in helping get the content out to more viewers and more fans. Folks, as I said before, obviously you saw what the numbers were for September. Got to celebrate that, hopefully. Great start to the month of October last week with Hoboken Councilman and mayoral candidate Mike Russo last week. If you haven't seen it, folks, trust me, over 60,000 organic views last week for that episode. I anticipate, God willing, another good showing this week here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Folks, you know what time it is? It's time for final thoughts. And folks, I know people sometimes get a little nervous and they might think, oh, there goes Fernando picking on Uncle Dave, right? We all know what I'm talking about, right? David Cruz from NJ Spotlight News. I mean, Jesus. Tú que ver una cara come mierda. I mean, that's, woo, it's this guy. But folks, what's interesting, again, today is Monday, October the 13th. And by the way, happy Columbus Day, everybody. Not happy Indigenous Peoples Day. No, none of that woke bullshit. Okay. I think it's fair to say that thankfully we're moving past all of that nonsense. Okay. As far as happy Indigenous Peoples Day, I mean, it's every day for me. I mean, I walk up and down Burger Line Avenue or even Central Avenue. I mean, it's Indigenous Peoples Day every day there. Okay. And I'm Cuban. I can say that. So before you get all menstrual and start ovulating and menstruating, chill the F out. Okay. I can say these things. Okay. But on this Monday, October the 13th, as we are approaching the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, you would think that, and one of the reasons, folks, let's be very honest, one of the reasons that the legislature in Trenton came to their senses to stop funding awful operations like NJPBS and NJ Spotlight News is because you saw that the ROI was not worth it. Folks, the return on investment has been shitty for some time. Now, again, it starts with Uncle Dave because he's been putting out shitty programming for the longest time. Okay? But you would think that at the onset of Hispanic Heritage Month, that Uncle Dave would be covering prominent Hispanics during this month. But no, let me just be a little self-serving, which is anyone surprised about Uncle Dave? Okay. In other news, water, wet, sky, blue. Okay. But what's interesting about Uncle Dave is how self-serving he was to try to kind of, sneak this in there, kind of like shoehorn this in at the end of the recent edition of Chatbox, which again, I mean, folks, if you ever need a cure for insomnia, tune into Uncle Dave's shows, whether it's Chatbox or Reporters Roundtable, where, by the way, thank God he had like a nice looking MILF like Joanna Gagas on last week. But when you have charisma vacuums like Charles Style and guys who look like they live under a bridge like Matt Friedman, folks, it's easy to turn off these programs and remind you, shit, like this is why people don't trust establishment media. This is why the legislature, which is predominantly made up of Democrats, said, yeah, we're going to stop funding this shitty programming and stop funding NJPBS and NJ Spotlight News. But check out how self-serving Uncle Dave was as we're wrapping up Hispanic Heritage Month. Don't take my word for it. See for yourself.
As we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, we turn our attention to Puerto Rico, which has been very much in our consciousness after
I don't know whose consciousness, Dave. It's not mine. I mean, nobody here in North Hudson or a lot of, I don't know who, but I mean, keep telling yourself that. I mean, that's not really in my consciousness, not even when I'm asleep, but let's continue.
Bad Bunny's 2-month, 31-show residency at El Coliseo de Puerto Rico.
Can you imagine how many times it took Dave to pronounce that? Because we all know Uncle Dave doesn't speak Spanish, right? He's one of those Boricuas that's like, I'm proud Boricua, but doesn't speak a lick of Spanish. But, but let's continue.
No me quiero ir de aquí. I don't want to leave here is the theme. And it resounded with a lot of Puerto Ricans because sadly, the island is losing its brightest minds. Let's talk about La Isla del Encanto with Juan Cartagena. He is a lecturer at Columbia Law, an attorney, former municipal judge, folklorist, musician, and rocker of the Kangol, although not today, like no other, among other things. Juan, welcome back to the show, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you, David. Wonderful to be here.
Also a coquitero. Is that a word? A coquitero of the highest order?
And a person who loves coquito, he makes coquito.
All right. That's good. See?
Trust me, if anyone knows about drinking coquito, it's Uncle Dave. But let's continue with this little love fest here.
Our almost viral video sharing your mom's coquito recipe. You folks can go check that out online. Anyway, coquito is kind of a perfect metaphor, I think, of the duality of being Puerto Riqueño in America. Coquito, Bad Bunny, beautiful beaches, but
folks, if you're Puerto Rican watching this, don't you feel just a little bit insulted? I mean, the idea that, listen, Puerto Rico's a nice island. I've been to it many years ago, right? I don't have any desire to visit it. It's not really my island that I would want to visit in the Caribbean, okay? But really, is this, when we start thinking about the beautiful island that is Puerto Rico, and we start thinking about what it represents or who embodies Puerto Rico, why this insistence on Bad Bunny? I get it. He's in the headlines, and I get it that, if you like that sort of garbage music, ay, 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 whatever. That's not really for me, folks. I mean, I listen to it because it's funny if it's on. I don't ever decide to go on my Spotify or download music for, for Bad Bunny. It's that's not really music to me. Sitting there and listening to some grown man be like, "Hey, calladita," like that's not music. That's not music. I'm sorry, it just isn't. Don't call me a boomer. Don't call me Fernando's like wannabe gringo. No, folks, I'm as Hispanic as it comes. Okay, I grew up in a Cuban and Colombian household. So I grew up on salsa. I grew up on merengue. I grew up on good food. I grew up on good culture, good values, good norms, you name it. But this idea, folks, that, I mean, especially for those with Puerto Rican heritage, the idea that you think it's important to attach yourself to someone like Bad Bunny, who, again, folks, listen, God bless you. You want to sit on your little moral high ground, your little high horse, God bless you. But let's not, for a moment, even forget about the level of hypocrisy that Benito is exhibiting here. Okay, he's the first guy to denounce American imperialism and the American government and what ICE is doing and all the bullshit that he conveys along with other left-wing artists. but he's happy to come perform at the Super Bowl, right? Now, mind you, he's not getting paid by the NFL or by Rock Nation or Jay-Z, who oversees the Super Bowl halftime show. But of course, and listen, I get it. He's the most streamed artist in the world. Great. And he'll get even more streams downloaded during the Super Bowl or leading up to the Super Bowl on Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. No question. Not my kind of music. I don't really care for it. Like I don't feel like losing brain cells. Like I'd rather listen to better music. I grew up on really good reggaeton, like Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, Wisin y Yandel. Okay. Rakimi Kenway. Like I grew up on good stuff. I didn't grow up, on this. Like I'm sorry if that's music to you. God bless you. That's not music. But folks, if you're Puerto Rican, you should be insulted by Uncle Dave because the idea that you think that I don't know, Bad Bunny has come to symbolize the island. Okay, great. He has a residency there. Folks, there's been a lot better artists coming out of Puerto Rico than Bad Bunny. That's something he should lead with. But again, let's continue with this.
Life on the island is getting harder and harder, no?
Definitely. A lot of that is, centuries old. Mm-hmm. So it's been a colony for a long time under different flags of other foreign nations. But I think most recent issues have been after Hurricane Maria in 2017. Yeah. And then also the incredibly, the incentives that the local government is given for persons to travel to and make a residency in Puerto Rico from the U.S. Yeah. Major tax breaks are being given to them that are not available to people who live on the island. So, David.
Again, folks, we have to be honest here. Is that any different than other governments in the Caribbean? Again, this sob story and sort of perpetuating victimhood here, I'm sorry, it's just, I can't buy this. This is something that happens all throughout the Caribbean, okay? It's not just exclusive to Puerto Rico. So to sort of elevate this sort of narrative here as we're finishing Hispanic Heritage Month, folks, to see, again, this is where yours truly, a broadcast journalist, okay, a guy who's respected in the community, a guy who gets real traffic because he has real conversations, because it's real talk. Okay, let me do Uncle Dave's job for him. Okay, because it seems that Uncle Dave, again, mira esa come mierda, my God. Dave, you just give me softballs down the middle of the plate. But you would think, and not just, again, folks, during 2025, but going back to 2023, you would think every Hispanic Heritage Month, whether it's on a Just Spotlight News, whether it's on local news sites, like what used to be credible, but lost credibility a long time ago, like the Jersey Journal, right? Or NJ.com, you would think if Uncle Dave was going to elevate Hispanics and talk about prominent Hispanics during Hispanic Heritage Month, you know who's done that? Oh, that's right. Fernando Uribe. Because here on this show, folks, I elevate everybody. I don't just pick and choose who I want. But folks, you would think during Hispanic Heritage Month, not just this year, okay? Because unlike Uncle Dave, I'm not self-serving. I talk to Hispanics from all walks of life. But you know who should be featured during not just this Hispanic Heritage Month, but every Hispanic Heritage Month since 2023? Yeah, this guy, Andres Acebo. This is a guy who took New Jersey City University from the brink of bankruptcy under the leadership or lack thereof of Sue Henderson, who ran that school into the ground almost. And not once was there a peep from Uncle Dave or any of the other local media that was supposed to cover this. Like the Jersey Journal and Ron Zentlinger and Slim over there, Josh Rosario, right? You would think during Hispanic Heritage Month, you would want to feature a prominent Hispanic like Andres Acebo. Dave, I'm sorry to do your job for you, but this is who you should have been featuring for the last 2 years. Now, I get it. Maybe you don't like him because he comes on this show and he has real conversations and we get real traffic here. Okay? But if you're going to talk about Hispanic Heritage Month, talk about prominent Hispanics. A guy like Andres Acebo, who was crucified, who was vilified, who was literally burned in effigy by garbage journalists like Ron Zentlinger and Josh Rosario and Terry West and garbage news sites like the Jersey Journal, which, by the way, I get it. I feel bad because there were people working there in the printing press, in the marketing department, maybe in the communications department. I feel bad for those people. But I don't feel bad whatsoever for trash humans like Ron Zentlinger and Josh Rosario and Terry West and the rest of the clowns at the Jersey Journal, who never once took the time to prominently feature someone like Andres Acebo. For someone like Uncle Dave, you would think that it's so proud of being Latino and I'm a proud Boricua and I want to elevate other Latinos. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, Dave, and you know it. And the reason that people have lost faith in you, to no surprise, okay, is because you have an agenda. You're super partisan, hyper partisan, as a matter of fact. Here on this show, folks, there's no agenda. I call balls and strikes here. Okay? I talk about the issues that matter. I talk about people that matter. And since 2023, when Andres Acebo was tasked with this job of trying to elevate New Jersey City University from the brink of bankruptcy, because again, folks, if anyone should vilify people at NJCU, it should be vilifying Sue Henderson. She was an awful president, an awful person. She didn't care about New Jersey University. Sue Henderson didn't care about New Jersey University any more than Uncle Dave cares about going on a treadmill. Let's be honest. Okay? But somehow, David, people like Andres Acebo are people that you should have been featuring forever. Guess what? Other podcasters or opinion journalists like my good friend Carlos Medina, the president and CEO of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, on his show Que Pasa, which happens to run also on NJPBS, yeah, he does a good job. He actually covers real people during Hispanic Heritage Month. You could maybe take a page out of his book and learn a little bit. You don't like me, you don't want to learn from me, I get it. You're in your mid to late 90s. I get it. Ya tú estás viejo. You don't want to learn any new tricks. I get all that. But you know what? Look at someone like Carlos Medina, another prominent Hispanic that you should have been featuring regularly on NJ Spotlight News or Chat Box, or Luis de la Hoz. Okay? Or other prominent Hispanics, like in media and journalism. Gee, I don't know, maybe like John Hines, the editor of the Hudson County View, who's Colombian, like myself. Or James de los Santos, the editor of HUD-Post. I mean, there's no shortage of prominent Hispanics to talk about. But you have to go and be self-serving, David. Again, this is what makes you insufferable. And for a guy like you that, supposedly you think you're the standard of journalism. No, you're not. You're far from it. You were supposed to take over the standard of journalism from the goat of journalism, Michael Aaron, God rest his soul. But guess what, folks? In the years since then, he's failed to deliver. It's as simple as that. But if you're going to close out Hispanic Heritage Month, David, whether it's in 2025 or in 2024 or in 2023, you should have started with at the top of the list? Andres Acebo, a brilliant young man who took NJCU from the brink of bankruptcy and from really the abyss that Sue Henderson left it in to where he was recently named the 13th president of New Jersey City University. That's an accomplishment that I have yet to see you cover on your show. Not one segment, whether it's by you or the rest of the MILF Brigade at NJ Spotlight News. Again, take your picks. Brianna Vanozzi, Raven Santana, Joanna Gagas. Again, the only reasons I tune in to watch NJ Spotlight News at night is because of those lovely MILFs. Now, in all fairness, they're great journalists too, but they're nice to look at. Hello, sue me for being a straight male that likes looking at good-looking women. Oh, geez, the horror. But shame on you, David, because you should have been covering people like Andres Acebo and others for the longest time. You want to cover me? That's fine. I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm over here making money. I'm over here getting ratings. Okay, which is more than I can say for you. How you'll make money starting next year, well, we'll see. I hear they're hiring at Walmart or Target. I think you'd be a great Walmart greeter. Just keep David away from the produce or the candy aisle, But as we close out Hispanic Heritage Month, let's give our due. Let's give our kudos to one of the more prominent Hispanics in Hudson County, in New Jersey for that matter. And that's Andres Acebo, the 13th president of New Jersey City University. Folks, again, it makes you wonder. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Esta cara come mierda. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, you can't make it that easy for me, David. You just can't. But again, folks, if you haven't learned yet, or you're still sort of evaluating or determining, hey, I wonder why it is that people are losing faith in establishment media, not just at a national level, but here in New Jersey, why less and less people subscribe to NJ.com, why less and less people are subscribing to Politico. I mean, who wants to pay for a paywall to read some of the bullshit columns that Matt Freeman provides? Or NorthJersey.com and some of the bullshit columns from Charles Style. Okay. If you want to look as to why people continue to lose faith in establishment media, folks, look no further than Uncle Dave over here. Dave, I'm tired of doing your job. For the record, I'm not auditioning for your job. I have no desire to ever want to even join NJPBS or NJ Spotlight News. I'm really good over here making money. I'm really good over here, having real conversations and real dialogue with real traffic because it's real talk. Again, we're not the same, David. As I've said before, folks, whether it's Charles Style or Max Pizarro or Jay Lasseter or Alan Steinberg or Bob Annaly, and especially David Cruz. Yes, folks, we've all come to learn these are dinosaurs in this business. And, hate to break it to you, the meteor's coming. And that's why people believe in independent media and choose independent media. Like Real Talk. We're not the same, David. And we never will be. So again, happy Hispanic Heritage Month as we close it out. Because here we talk about real Hispanics and real issues and real dialogue. Can't say the same for Uncle Dave. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, special comment tonight here. As you can see, we're rocking pink here on the program, and we will be rocking pink throughout the month of October. But here, folks, just a friendly reminder, this Wednesday night at the world-famous Waterside, located at 7800 River Road in North Bergen, overlooking the beautiful waterfront there, overlooking the beautiful skyline of New York City, is the 2025 edition of A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts to benefit the American Cancer Society. And that begins at 7 p.m. and we'll be partying throughout the night, folks, as we raise money for Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. And subsequently, I'll be proud to walk this Sunday at the Making Strides Walk in Newark, right by the Prudential Center, home of my New Jersey Devils, and looking forward to seeing some Devils games here as the 2025-2026 season has begun. But this Wednesday night, folks, again, I appreciate you all coming out. Weather's going to be looking nice. We're going to have great raffles. But first and foremost, we are asking for a modest $20 donation at the door. You'll be greeted alongside myself, obviously, are my outstanding co-hosts, Sylvia Sapinska, Jacqueline Rodriguez, Alexandra Hammer, and Vladimir Carrero. Together, folks, we'll be greeting you at the door and reminding you about all the great prizes available during the evening's raffles, which include gift cards from outstanding restaurants in the North Hudson, Bergen County area, which include, of course, Blue on the Hudson in Weehawken, Waterside in North Bergen, La Sorrentina in North Bergen, Trattoria Napoli in Union City, The Office at 68th in Guttenberg, Tapas España in North Bergen as well. In addition to great services, which include a month membership at Team 48 Jiu-Jitsu in West New York. Trust me, folks, it's made a difference in my life. It'll make a difference in yours. In addition to Sojo Spa in Edgewater, as well as Hen and Stone in Edgewater also. Folks, I can't say enough about these local businesses and how grateful I am to all of them for sponsoring this event, in addition to all my other sponsors, which, again, you can check out on the social media for the event. But, folks, again, mark it on your calendars. This Wednesday night, starting at 7 p.m., we'll be raising funds to benefit the American Cancer Society and the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer campaign. Again, folks, we'll be rocking pink all throughout the month of October here on the show. So again, if you can donate in person this Wednesday, we appreciate it. And if you cannot, reach out to me on my social media handles and I'll send you the donation link, where all donations are safe, secure, and tax deductible. And together we can make a big difference in helping the American Cancer Society and families that we help out each and every year. Now, folks, since 2008, I've been proud to partner with the American Cancer Society, and we've raised over $68,000 with this specific event, A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts. I've had great co-hosts over the years, wonderful guests, and wonderful venues since its inception in 2008. Again, I couldn't be more grateful to all of you that continue to make this event a success each and every October. So I'll see you this Wednesday night, folks, starting at 7 p.m. at Waterside for A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts. We'll be partying all night long. We'll have DJ Ziggy Roman throughout the evening, rocking some great music. And trust me, folks, the weather's going to be great. We'll have the patio open. And you know what? Bring your cameras out. There are a lot of nice pictures to take throughout the evening there to benefit the American Cancer Society. And once again, I want to thank the management at Waterside for giving us this venue to host this wonderful event. So I'll see you this Wednesday night, folks. And together, we'll defeat breast cancer once and for all. And that's our show for this week, folks. Once again, I do want to thank Pam Johnson, Jersey City Ward 8 Council candidate, for a great conversation. Again, folks, I can't say enough. If you haven't done so already, like, comment, and share tonight's episode here on the show. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like us, of course, on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and X, and certainly subscribe to us on YouTube. And it helps get the show out to more people. And whether you download us on Spotify or SoundCloud, check us out, folks. Great programming and content we bring you every single week here via Jersey First TV. And of course, front and center, that's where I am, folks, here advocating and educating for residents here in the state of New Jersey. That's what we do here at Jersey First TV. Folks, again, I can't say enough what a privilege it is to come to you every single Monday night here on the broadcast. And without all of you, the traffic that we bring you every single week would not be possible. So again, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always real talk right here on the Jersey First Television Network. That's right, folks. I am the generational talent in Garden State Media, and certainly the hero you need right now, folks. That's right. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you this Wednesday at Waterside for A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts, once again to benefit the American Cancer Society. Folks, take care of your elderly neighbors. Look after the kids as you're driving. Please drive carefully during the morning hours, folks. Let's make sure our kids get to school safely, to and from school. Of course, we appreciate you supporting, again, fearless independent journalism, which is always right here every single Monday night via Jersey First TV on Real Talk. Folks, again, thank you so much for tuning in here. Please party responsibly. I'll see you later this week. Always remember, thanks for stopping by. And most importantly, folks, stay classy, everyone.